Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our November 2023 Special Committee on Racial Equity. I'm Margaret Della, I'm the chair, and I'm joined here by two of our members, Kelly Buford, Bob Bender, and also our special guest presenter, Anthony Taylor, who is the African American Senior Community Liaison with the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs. So since Anthony has been so generous with his time in a late night, we wanted to welcome you, Anthony, and thank you so much for sharing information about this initiative.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Anthony Taylor, the African American Liaison. So basically, I'm basically the eyes and ears for the mayor for the African American community. So anything the African American community needs, citywide, anything the African Americans they need anything, or if they have any concerns and they need to be pointed to the right direction, I'm the guy, I'm the point person for that. Um, Basically anything from business wise or community wise in general, I'm the point person for the African American community in the mayor's office.
Thank you. Could you say a little bit more on the intent behind this initiative and some of the reasons why your position was created, if you know them?
Basically, the reason why is because the African American community, they've been vocal about they need more help within their community with the man. They need the man to be more helpful towards them. So that's why I was sorry, it's basically a train pass. So could you hear me? Could you hear me?
Sorry, can you repeat that last part again?
Basically, the African American community, they've been very vocal about the mayor being more helpful to our community. So that's why I was brought along to just basically be that spokesperson for them. Um, that's basically it. But like I said before, I'm the eyes and ears for the mayor for the African American community. So anything that they need to be get done, or if they need the mayor to come to any events that any organization within the African community is getting at, or within the community periods, I could make that happen. Or if they need support from the mayor's office, let's say they need anything from I'm trying to think of an example. Uh, Anything that I could give to them, or within city government, or within all the city agencies. If they need anything that I could point them to the right person for that, then that's why I'm here.
Do you have some examples of like the projects you take on or the work that you do, just so we can get a sense of like the kinds of work or how people can get in touch with your division within community affairs?
So yeah, so just now I just came from a food, food getaway in the Bronx actually. Um, so basically community outreach. If like I said, with community like with this, they needed food, they needed supplies for the food. So I was that person for that. Um, in November 20th, I helped. I'm basically in the process of helping the Unified Black Caucus to help them with their turkey giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they also doing something for the children hospital in Harlem. So if they need something, they need donations from the like toys and stuff for the children, I could assist with that. Um, Also, if let's say if it's a business that need special license or anything for their business or certifications, I could point them to the SBS division. Um, I also I also have if y'all want, I could give y'all my number and my email address. So
Sure.
y'all could definitely reach me through that. Um, my email address is att LOR Taylor cityhall.nyc.gov. My cell phone number is 347-680-3490.
Can you repeat your email address again, please?
Okay. AT Taylor at cityhall.nyc.gov.
cityhall.nyc.gov.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you all have any questions?
I do not. Do you have a link to the website or a page on the website that we can review to see what other initiatives you all offer?
Yes.
And
Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up for you. If you go to nyc.gov / mayor's office, you can see everybody, all the, sorry, let me just wait for the train to pass out.
Sorry, Anthony, it cut up again. It cut out. After mayor's office, what did you say?
Mayor's office, you could see every detail of each offices or each agencies, and you could see every job description or every description of everybody, what they do.
thank you.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I have one question. How do community groups know how to get in touch with you? What kind of outreach do you do? How would they know that you're the person to talk to about problems they're having?
Right now, I'm reaching out to every African American organizations or community board, reaching out to all the community boards to basically introduce myself to everybody. I'm trying to go to every meeting that I could find, so I could get myself out there, give out business cards, so it's easier for everybody to reach me. And also, I'm just working right now to because I just started this job, so right now I'm just basically networking. I'm looking up at all the nonprofit organizations, all the for-profit organizations, all the community groups, all the city councils.
Anthony, we lost you again.
Sorry, the trains keep passing by. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm just reaching out to every African American for-profit organizations and nonprofit organizations, all the city council members, all the city boards, um, community boards, block associations, trying to go to every meeting, every event so I could network. And that's how I'm basically getting my name out there.
Well, would you keep the community board in touch with your information that you share, if you create flyers or different things like that that can be posted within the community or posted to our social media, website, et cetera,
Yes.
just so that folks know initiatives that you're leading and other ways that they can contact you?
Yes, definitely.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time, Anthony. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And have a
Enjoy
good
your
night.
night.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Bye.
Okay, so, well, I'm glad we heard about the mayor's initiative, and hopefully as Anthony gets settled in his new role, he'll be able to give us more information about, where that position is going and how we can help direct community organizations or community members to him or to this effort. So since Sebastian is not here, Bob Fanuzzi's not here, we will not address the June meeting minutes, but I did want to remind everyone that, the June 2023 interim report was submitted. That includes a number of different, updates. There's an executive summary from SCRE that's, annually updated. It also includes an update of capital expense requests through fiscal year '24. And I think that's a good reference point. The office just submitted the budget request for fiscal year, is it 26?
25.
Yeah.
Guess we're in 24.
We're in
Yeah,
24.
we're in 24, right. Yeah,
Right.
starting July 1st.
First,
24. Mhm.
So, expenses for, fiscal year '25 were just submitted to the city, for consideration. So I think it's useful to see how the community board requests have been projected or have tracked over time, and also gives us a good sense of, the community initiatives that have been addressed, have not been addressed, where some of the community demand, has changed or continues to remain the same. It also includes an update on activities that each standing committee took over the course of fiscal year '23. So every committee from land use to education, to aging is in, that updated list of activities.
I do want to add
Yeah.
to Margaret, I was just looking at the minutes of the June meeting, and an item on there emphasized the significance of equity within budget priorities, Bob D to draft. I think I may have dropped the ball on that one. So I want to be sure I know, I have brought this up at the executive committee meetings, that when the committees do the budget request, to consider equity issues, not just issues of race or ethnicity, but also geography, other demographic issues, to make sure that our requests are allocated evenly throughout the district and throughout all groups of people to the extent possible. So, is that something you wanted to formalize in some way? Did you want to come up with a document, or just want to be sure I know what the request is?
I think the request was, I don't know that it was a request or a suggestion.
Okay.
But I think that's essentially it, that we wanted to, state in a way the purpose of why we include the budget as one of the areas where we track, equity investments throughout the district, because of, quality of life, that, identifying areas that have perhaps over time been neglected or perhaps have not received the attention or the investment that they, deserve. And so trying to use that as an opportunity where we can demonstrate real progress in how we as a board talk about where we're going to invest, why we're going to invest. And I think fiscal year '25, I mean, not to get into opinions too much, but I really saw a beautiful process in fiscal year '25 where everyone was contributing, people understood the priorities and where they needed to be, why they needed to be prioritized in such a way. And I think we had real sort of cohesion around some of those requests. And I think it really had a strong foundation in equity. That's at least what I heard from board members, and that's what I saw on the sheet as it was deliberated by each individual committee and then ultimately funneled up to the full board. So perhaps it's just a way to capture that sentiment and why we feel so strongly about it being one of the focal points that we take in the annual sort of check-in on activities, but then where the money is being used.
Yeah, and I think what we could do, you did that wonderful map, that, you know, that mapped the, requests that have been fulfilled and the ones that are, outstanding after a period of time. And I think, you know, when we get into the process, which really starts as early as January, every time it comes up, and David Gilman always reminds us at the meetings about it, we need to remind all the committee chairs that they have this document available to them that will help them in determining which areas are underserved, which areas are still underfunded despite multiple requests. So, yeah, I think doing it that way is really the most effective way to do it.
Yeah, and I think it's really powerful that Chair Reyes and our district manager are using that same sheet. I know that is sort of the practice, but having something that's so clear and specific about our top 20 priorities, that they are taking that to elected officials, and there's not a lot to get lost in, but really focusing on what's needed in the community. So I think that's sort of the spirit of it. A few things we wanted to talk about. Certainly, upcoming events under new business, that there is the doula initiative. I also wanted to remind folks about the birth justice vendors opportunity that one of our presenters from May from the Bronx Health Link, she presented on all of the things going on within the borough related to maternal health, and being a Bronx birth justice defender is something that they're starting another cycle of, so you can be trained in all the ways in which women who are expecting, what are their rights, where can they go for help, how can they advocate for themselves, how can their families advocate for them in this process, and making sure that this information is shared widely throughout the Bronx. So they are looking for not only volunteers to be a part of that, where you go to various events throughout the community, but then you can also work in advocating on behalf of. The doula training is connected to the Bronx Health Link, and I suppose those are the most coming events. I think most of us also want to talk about the humanitarian crisis going on in the Middle East, and the worry that we all have in that area, and certainly the anti-Semitism that we're seeing that has not gone away in recent history, but certainly we've seen an increase in violence that I think we've captured unfortunately in our interim reports, focusing on speech, language, inciting violence, and really being worried for all sorts of individuals in our district, as well as within New York State, the United States, and obviously what's unfolding in Israel and Gaza it has been on our minds for at least the last 30 days, and it's really a cause for concern, not only to the immediate individuals who are suffering through this crisis, but also what it means globally, and what it means for those who are Jewish, those who are Arabic, who are Muslim, and sort of what's going on in our country. So I just wanted to take sort of a few minutes and see how we want to have some conversations around that. Some board members did reach out, and I think it's important to recognize that a space that sometimes people highlight, we say that all lives matter. These are kinds of instances where we say all lives matter absolutely, and sometimes we need to focus on specific communities, populations that need support, that need to be stated publicly and loudly, and advocate on behalf of those who are being targeted and those who are suffering. So I think this is a good opportunity for everyone to sort of take a step back and see perhaps in some ways in which we have not always seen ourselves in suffering, and seen when people are systemically targeted or disadvantaged or harassed, or, and the list goes on in more and more serious terms. But I do think that racial equity holds an umbrella for all of those discussion topics, and is not exclusive to any population, any community, more so that it's inclusive of all, even though folks sort of get focused on racial, but it really is all-encompassing because of the root of discrimination, hatred, violence.
What's happening in the Middle East per se is beyond the scope of the board.
Sure.
But happening here at home, and particularly in our area, is within our purview. And I don't know that there have been any incidents within the community board district, any serious incidents. But it's clear from all the reports that we all see, whether it's on the news, newspapers, radio, TV, whatever, the source of the information, that there has been an increase in anti-Semitism, and there has also been an increase in Islamophobia. And as you said, Margaret, equity is a broad umbrella, and it covers not just racial issues, but ethnicity, religion, and so on. And while people are entitled to their views, they're not entitled to attack other people, whether it's verbally or physically. And we did have, I'm sure at one point, we had something on the website about the diversity of community board aid of the area and all. I couldn't find it. I was looking today, and I couldn't find it on the homepage of the website. But what I was thinking was that the appropriate thing to do here is to remind everybody about the fact that we have this statement, that we deplore any kind of ethnic or religious or racial hatred, and that while people are entitled to their opinions, they're not entitled to threaten other people with violence. And that we encourage anybody who is being subject to this sort of treatment because of their ethnicity or their religion to contact the community board, to contact their elected officials, and if there's violence involved, to contact the police. So that was my thought on that subject. Whether
it had been.
It had been, yeah.
It was there. I remember seeing it.
I know it was there because I've seen it there before, and when I looked for it today, I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
But it's certainly something we can put up on the committee's website, on the committee's homepage, rather. And but I think we need to bring this up at the executive committee. Well, the executive committee meeting just happened, but at the board meeting, 14th, that it's important for people to be aware that the community board is here as a resource for if people are experiencing this kind of behavior, and that the community board wants to remind everybody that any kind of bigotry, discrimination, etc., is unacceptable, contrary to the values of the country, of the city, and of our community.
Yeah.
That's my thought on that subject. And it's, you know, it's unfortunate that we have to address this, but this will never go away. We'll always have to address this from time to time when this sort of thing breaks out again.
Yeah, and certainly the Zoom bombings or whatever people call them, where we're seeing white nationalists or neo-Nazis
Right.
come in and try to scare, intimidate, use hate speech against members of our own board. So certainly there has been sort of an opening where people feel comfortable in doing that in a public space where it's being recorded, where their IP address is connected to this, and feel as though there will not be any repercussions. So absolutely, I'm glad that it is moving forward with law enforcement, and that there's a true way in which we can have consequences for that kind of behavior, and that it's not swept under the rug. So
So is this something that we want to, when we do the committee reports at the board meeting, is this something we want to mention at the committee report, in addition to the conversation we just had with Anthony? Are you comfortable with that, or do you think that's the right approach?
I would generally say yes, but first I would like for us to find out what happened to that statement, right? Because we can mention it, but if we don't have it to produce, and that could be part of our, guidelines and a reminder to everyone, that we have to respect everyone's opinion, right? Everyone is entitled to his or her opinion, and we have to respectfully agree to disagree, and we have to figure out how we are going to, live in harmony. Quite frankly, despite what's going on around us, within, city government and the, country as a whole, this is our little slice of the pie, and we want to keep it as harmonious as possible. And it actually starts with us, even though we're not elected officials, right? People look to us for guidance, and if we are, having disputes amongst ourselves, then it sort of opens the door for everyone else to be disrespectful as well. So we set the tone for what happens here.
I think in this issue we have a responsibility to the community to articulate the values that we stand for, that the government stands for.
And I think it's also representative of who we are as a community board, right? Because the community itself has evolved. It's someone having lived in this community for, I wouldn't say, 95% of my life. I've seen how it's changed, and we have welcomed other people into the fold, and we need to really focus on that instead of focusing on the negativity that we see throughout.
Agree.
So shall we start with, do you recommend that we create a resolution or a statement based on the initial value statement that we revised in this year or last spring, or last year? I can't remember. Time is fleeting.
Yeah, I think it was last year. I couldn't tell you more specifically than that, Margaret,
Okay.
but I know we had it last year.
Okay.
I don't think it's the sort of thing that calls for a resolution, that requires a resolution. I think what we should do is tap into that statement, which does seem to have disappeared, and and that go back on the homepage of the board, and also bring this issue up and remind everyone that this sort of hate speech, this sort of discrimination, this sort of targeting of people according to their religion or their ethnicity is intolerable, and there is recourse for people who are in this situation whether it's the community board, the elected officials, or as I said, in the case of threats of violence or actual violence, it's the police.
Mhm.
Have to keep this thing from getting out of control. And
Yeah.
It may be something as simple as, I know that the website has undergone a lot of, you know, drafting these days, and the city was involved in keeping it and updating it, so maybe when they transferred some of the information over, it somehow fell off. But someone here should have that information, that
Yeah.
statement.
Yeah. Oh, it's, every year you think, are we being tested as much as we're going to be tested? But, I did want to discuss what we want to accomplish together in this year, and, you know, living through a time like this, where so much is in flux and, so much has the opportunity to go one way or the other. Where and how do we want to spend our time, and what are the ways in which we can support the standing committees and the discussions being held there? Are there things that we want to accomplish that we weren't able to do over the last several years? Various projects, or we want to do something different than we've done in the past? Oh, that's Bob. It's Bob Fanuzzi. Press the button. Yes.
Okay. Well, you know,
Hey, Bob.
Here for the quorum,
Thank you.
and I probably will be. To be a good committee member, I'm really sorry, but I'm here for the quorum.
Oh, great. Can we just vote on the minutes? Wow, we have you.
motion to approve.
Thank you.
Okay.
What's the motion?
Yeah, all in favor?
All in favor?
Okay.
Is there anyone on the screen?
No, we had, Julie, and we also had a presenter, so there's no one else right now. We were just about to talk about priorities for the year.
Okay.
We had just covered that we're going to create a statement based on, the SCRE statement that we've created previously. It had been on the website. Bob recognized that it's no longer there. So we want to follow up and make sure that it's there, emphasize our stated and shared values, that bigotry, hate, violence are unacceptable, and that the community board is available should anyone experience any of those issues, and we'll work with them. And
Why are you doing this?
sorry, meetings, you love meetings.
Hi. No, I've done too many, you've seen me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we understand.
so, that's great, I love that, yeah.
So that's the statement we had just been talking about, sort of the world as it is right now, this statement, and then now talking about priorities for the year ahead. Where do we want to spend our time? What are the most effective ways that we can be supporting standing committees? I think we've done a good job of working together and raising issues of equity, but as someone who's worked across a number of committees, and yours specifically, Environment and Sanitation,
Yeah.
has really focused on equity and made it very
Thank you.
clear and purposeful in all of your meetings. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, not in my committee either. We need some help with dealing with, bombing and anti-Semitism.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think there's gotta be a, I think we need a board policy. I think Law, Rules, and Ethics last night, was starting to take this up. There have been several meetings interrupted, and they were Nazis.
I was unaware of this.
Oh.
I was away for a few weeks and I missed the last executive committee meeting where I understand this happened.
That happened, and that happened at my meeting and at another meeting.
Oh,
It
yeah.
happened at the general.
It happened at
Yeah.
the general meeting too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
so let's not put that under the rug. I think we should be advised by the chair to talk to our president and they used to be called the mayor's assistance unit that used to coordinate with community boards. I don't know what it is now. But because we are a city agency, we need help on how to deal with anti-Semitism within our meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think, we also want to keep a close eye on hate crime orientation locally.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. 50th, when they present at the board meeting,
Yeah,
question that we want to bring up.
yeah. I really like what the mission statement is about, making sure people know that we are there for them. So, are there resources that the city offers for anti-racism or anti-discrimination that we could make sure that our local nonprofit partners, who almost all get public city funding, would have? So that's what I'm thinking, to make sure not that we become the whole source of education, but we just make sure as city people, they know the anti-discrimination. I'm sure they do, but would it be, there be programs that we could promote and make sure that our nonprofit partners knew about? As far as environment, yeah, we deal with a lot of issues in Kingsbridge and Marble Hill, especially flood areas, and so that's going to continue. Dealing with the Marble Hill and the garbage trains that are going to go there still. Are you thinking about individual committees that might have agendas for us, or just generally as an approach?
Yeah, we just pivoted to this topic, so we haven't focused on individual ones yet.
Okay, all right.
I mean, we did talk about committees in the sense of what we've been doing, which is reminding committee chairs as they draw up their budget priorities to keep the equity issues in the forefront.
Yeah, right.
You know, everything from geographical equity to equity, equity in the broadest sense. That's something we've been doing, we should continue to do.
And we can map those.
Margaret's already done that.
You've done that, yeah, right. So that would go, are we having interim reports? What is our reporting schedule to the board?
June, so we
So we
submitted.
have one annual report.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Each year. I think this was our third or fourth version.
Yeah.
And Laura was really into this, right? Didn't she go through every budget and wanted to make sure everything was not in well-off neighborhoods only?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we're saying that the list for FY25 was really succinct and prioritized equity really well, so. And I know, affordable housing is going to come up again with land use and, zoning.
Okay.
Is
I
probably
wanted
gonna
to
be a
talk
big area where
Yeah.
maybe that's an area of emphasis that we want to bring in additional resources or voices, so that we're bringing in a lot of different perspectives.
That's going to be a big issue this year because of the Mayor City of Yes initiative. Of housing going to be a major question.
So the pattern has always been to say affordable is really not affordable, but it's always been like the default that they're making it market rate. This feels different, just because that's the goal. And I would like to hear from some like independent auditors or arbitrators of how affordable housing is being delivered, affordable housing advocates who are not in the zoning or the development part.
Isn't that what?
That could be a housing issue too. That could be Rosemary's committee.
Is that an issue that the Northwest Bronx clergy and et cetera, I never remember all their.
I know.
Yeah.
But wasn't affordable
Yeah.
housing a big issue for them?
Mm-hmm.
We had somebody in, was it last year, or the year before, who was very good
Okay.
from that group. Maybe
I think
we
that's a
could
good idea.
Get them back.
I would propose to work with Rosemary's committee, because she would love
Okay.
this.
Okay.
That could be a good, I think the joints are a good model.
Yeah.
Right, the joint committee, because we would bring a specific policy or an advocate
Mm-hmm.
in
Mhm.
racial and equity areas, and the standing committee would have the kind of the
Mm-hmm.
boilerplate topic,
Mm-hmm.
and we would add to it, because often the housing is just about like building and not building, and we have to insert.
Mm-hmm. I was also thinking
That's good.
about, Veterans Committee. I mean, certainly this is Veterans Month, and I went to the Veterans meeting on Monday, and, they were one of the assistant commissioners at the city, was talking about GI Bill, making sure that individuals know how to access their GI Bill and all of the benefits that they have, not shying away from the benefits that they earned and deserve, making sure that they, don't sort of fall through the cracks, and sometimes people just feel as though perhaps they're too proud or that they don't want to access all their benefits. And certainly sort of the historical context to the GI Bill as it relates to people of color not being able to access their benefits and what should come to them for their service to our country. It made me think that perhaps there's some layer of advocacy, awareness that we could help promote.
It's a great idea.
Or, seems like Sergio's, leading that and doing a great job, and I just wondered if there's additional layers that we could help emphasize in supporting communication, and maybe that's an effort within the community board that we could advance. And,
I would suggest reaching out to Sergio and just, proposing this to him and seeing what he says, and seeing whether, there might be, again, an opportunity for a joint committee meeting with parents.
I think that's our best, because people are like us and they want to find a use for us.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a perfect example of how we use critical
And even the Bronx,
analysis of race. I'm
the
gonna say
Bronx-
critical race theory, yes.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna say that, yeah. And I just texted my colleague, because we have, we're building a partnership with a nonprofit that deals with homeless vets, but it's in Long Island. And I'm gonna find out if there's chapters in New
Okay.
York City, and I'll get you the nonprofit. That would be perfect for
That's great.
a presentation.
The, yeah, that would be super helpful. And just thinking about the, Historical Society that is looking for local stories about veterans. I mean, we're predominantly black and brown borough. I mean, there's lots of stories to be told, and making sure that, voice and sharing their story, or their, their brother's story, or their uncle's story, or whomever. Yeah.
You're saying there is an oral history project?
They are, yeah, they just
That's what
announced
Sergio
it.
mentioned
Uh-huh.
yesterday,
Really?
at the exec, that they were,
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
they're looking to interview vets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good partner.
Nick Dembowski's a good guy.
It's Kingsbridge Historical, not Bronx Historical Society.
Oh.
If it's Nick, it's Kingsbridge.
I
Nick
think
is
it
like
was.
off, Nick is off the charts, he's so good.
Might be the Bronx. We'll find out.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find
Let
out.
me not
Yeah.
miss.
It would be
Okay.
great if it was Nick, because he's pretty creative.
Well, he's busy trying to raise money for
Yeah.
the church right now, so that,
Is that right?
yeah, I mean, they have no heating system. I'm sorry?
St. Stephen's?
Yeah, no, not St. Stephen's, they took it over, Edge Hill Church. They now own it. What they own is a building with no heat, and, the last time I was in touch with them, no water either, so, so that, which is why the church just basically went out of business. Community disappeared, they were all gone, and they couldn't maintain it, there were, a handful of people left in it, so. Historical Society has made it
different than the Catholic Church, right? They go around making a needs assessment of all their properties. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great, so we
That's cool.
have a couple of next steps. Anything else?
Transportation.
Aging,
Can I speak to transportation? Because one of the TNT members actually said, you know, during the meeting, I know no one cares about Marble Hill, and I emphatically stated during the meeting that no community will be left out, you know, in, you know, discussions, because there was concern when they did the repaving on Broadway between 30 and 228, they lost a significant amount of parking because they took away the angle parking. And, you know, they said, was that because of, we're like, no, we'll get the city to address it and put that back, because that's a significant, you know, issue, you know, for them.
You know that, an organization, Bronx Council of Environmental Quality, we went to Marble Hill, Tony Edwards Tenant Association meeting over the summer. We wanted them to know about their plan to put, MTA's plan to put the garbage, the tracks there, but also about the Greenway. Nobody knew, this was a tenant leadership, no one knew about the Putnam Greenway. And we were saying, imagine if this was extended into your neighborhood, what it could do for you. So we need you to advocate with us. No one had ever reached out to them about new Greenway, literally going right to 230, and his plan to go further south, all the way down. It
is a neglected community, it really is, yeah.
We always go there, and it's always been about garbage. E&S has always had meetings there about garbage. A lot of other stuff. Maybe we should just have a Marble Hill town hall.
That's a big subject, that's a subject for the whole board.
Yeah, and usually elected officials do that. Right? Okay.
okay.
Continuing to work with each of the communities is really, I think, the best way forward. You know, we should bring up with them, are there equity issues that, you know, you guys are aware of that?
Yeah.
It's worth asking them,
Well,
raising that question.
I can talk to Tony and get, like, what his agenda is about. Tony, he's the tenant association president. He used to work with Edina, so he's really good. I've seen him in action. He's really good.
Yeah. And for years, he's been doing this.
Good point.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I also would love to have our meetings, they're going to be quarterly, but, I'd love to have them outside of these four walls.
Did you say quarterly meetings?
Yeah.
I thought this was once, because I could barely put my.
No, it won't be.
He was able to sort of rope me in.
So we are a little thrown off since we didn't have a meeting last month, so I think.
Oh, that's why this is in.
Yeah, it was supposed to be last month, but we had some technical issues. The report is due in June, so we need at least 3 meetings, I would say. One is like April, just so that we can work through report, capture everything we want to talk about. We can all draft and do things separately, but just so that at the end of the year, we have something that we want to be able to present. So we need at least 2 other meetings to touch base on what's going on.
Could we go through what prospective activities we could be doing, joint meetings? Let's just go through so we don't overburden ourselves, because we filled up a great year all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So, housing, I think, is a key one, definitely.
Land use, yeah.
Yeah, housing and land use and the CVS. What else did we say?
Budget, again.
That's a report, yeah.
Anti-discrimination, hate crimes.
Yeah.
Digging deep into how we can provide resources, education, training through our meetings, or through to the community.
So law, rules, and ethics is gonna be our partner in that, 'cause
Okay.
I can tell that Marty is already starting to chew over that. At the deck last night, I said that we really should be dealing with Corporation Council and the anti-discrimination unit of the City of New York, the mayor's office, because we're a city agency and we shouldn't start to tamper or either suppress or tamper or remove anything that is hate speech, because we're a city agency. So.
And then the other thing is, okay.
Oh, you got the cheap version.
I guess.
That's like.
I guess that's the end of the meeting.
Oh, this
So-
is great, okay.
Also, I mean, how do you feel about being in a place where we need to record? So the last topic is veterans and seeing.
Yeah, okay, we have that,
Yeah.
that's key, that's great.
So those are the four areas. Budget, LRE, focus on, education, anti-Semitism, housing, land use, veterans.
That's solid.
That's for a committee that meets quarterly,
That's solid,
pretty
yeah,
good.
but that means we're gonna have to go to these extra meetings and stage these programs with them.
Yeah.
So, it's gonna be more than quarterly.
So I'm on budget, I'm on veterans. Land
you
use
were
and
on
housing,
veterans.
I'm not, yeah, I just joined masochist. Last night almost put me over the edge, I was like, I have to get out of a meeting.
It
So we
wasn't
just
as
need
bad as
land
some
use
of them.
and housing,
Well, I'm on land use.
okay,
Okay.
and, LRE. You on that?
No.
You're not on housing, are you? Oh.
I'm on LRE, but I could, so many hours in a week.
Yeah.
A weird vibe there.
That part doesn't,
It doesn't bother you, bless you.
I
Having-
do, because I do corporate governance professionally, so
Oh,
that
wow.
doesn't
Oh, that's perfect. You're
bother me.
perfect. You're the
Oh,
only training for surviving that. You know what I'm saying?
Probably.
That and that screw loose.
Well, that I don't have just yet, but I'm
Bless
thinking,
you.
you know, if I
Oh,
stay
my
around this crew for a while, I may.
Right about that. You know, the other issue, Margaret, is we've got to do more recruitment for this committee. Whether it's board members or community members, you know, we have to improve on this, because this is the Racial Equity Committee, and look at us.
The community is the key driver of it too. We had a lot of people when we began, but it was because George Floyd was, the protests were at their peak.
Yeah.
So we do have to catch fire with what people really care about from an activist perspective in the.
I had one community member who was interested, but the thing is, you have to attend 3 meetings consecutively. I mean, you could always participate just on an ad hoc basis,
Right.
but be sort of a community member of a city, kind of 6 months of time.
Yeah.
So I know this person has been interested, but
And on for special committees?
what the office shared with me.
Yeah, I think the rules are for every committee.
I think if we were to get affordable housing or homeless, whatever, the Northwest clergy, they would bring their own audience, which is a way to get knowing we're still alive. So we had some kind of presentation from them because they have a huge following.
Yeah.
The other place to make the pitch is at the board meeting, because that's where we get the largest number of community participants.
And I think when you say this is our plan for the year, people are at a board meeting.
Yeah,
You didn't get a chance to present it exact, so you'll.
Good point. I mean, when you tell people there are things we're going to do, then, you know, they understand, oh, that's an interesting committee.
But that means I have to get to all these chairs,
Yeah.
because you know how
Don't,
people
yeah,
are.
don't, what's it called?
The cart before the horse.
Blindside them.
Land use is meeting on Monday, and it's actually a joint meeting with economic development, because
Yeah,
it's about city of, yes, and, changing some of the zoning regulations regarding manufacturing areas and business areas to allow for affordable housing. So, you know, I can certainly mention, and will mention at the meeting, that Racial Equity Committee is very interested in all this sort of thing, and like to
Thank you.
Question on my participation or becoming a member of the committee. I thought when I first joined that there was a, vote, that the board had to vote on the membership of this special committee.
It's supposed to be in a resolution.
It's supposed to be in a resolution.
Yeah, on Ames Act, too. Did that not happen? Yeah, I assumed it happened.
It did.
Okay,
I know I remember seeing it,
okay.
but I don't remember seeing it where the board voted me in. So that's really my segue into, do you need to formally present me to
Amend,
the
yes.
board?
Yeah, it needs to be
Probably.
amended.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to amend the
I'll
resolution.
send
But
Julie.
can't the board chair appoint to a special committee? I think so too, yeah.
I don't know, I just remember that there was a long, drawn-out discussion about this when I first joined the board. So, and I'm going, it's not that serious, people.
You stayed.
Yes,
Barely.
and not only did I stay, but I was rooked into serving as the chairperson for the TNT committee also, but that's a story for another day.
That's an oral history in itself. I've heard about this. You were, oh God, okay. Some of the most toxic personalities known to man. That's really, and you're alive. Thank God for your training.
All right, so my last question, I will send Julie an email and see
You
what
find
she
out
wants
if our
us to
names
do.
are in it?
Our names are in it from June. There was a resolution every year when they renew SCRE.
Right.
So I'll ask Julie
Yeah,
what
what she
the
wants to
steps
do.
are.
Yeah, it has to be official, whatever step.
And then, last question,
Hmm.
where do we wanna meet? Do we wanna do this? I also wanted us to sort of like move
Okay,
out of here.
quarterly means, January?
January, March, April, so it would be 2 consecutive months. 'Cause I think that sort of like, things take a minute to get
Well,
moving.
would our joint meeting count as one of our quarterly meetings?
And so?
I think so,
Mhm.
yeah. So depending on where that joint meeting would be.
Mhm,
So I think April definitely should be here. It's like a drafting session.
yeah,
And,
the
but,
meeting could be wherever.
yeah, January and March could be wherever they are. So that gives you a target to talk to the chairs.
Right.
If you have any, just, small brainstorm, figure out how to get these issues out if you don't get any follow-up with the chair. That's the optimum, right, is to have joint meetings.
Mhm.
But if you're not getting that, we'll figure it out together.
And at the board meeting, can I deputize someone? If you feel like I'm not hitting the marks on what I'm presenting that is exciting about the work that we're doing, please chime in.
As all of us.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we
Please.
should all take some responsibility for, I think there's something that we discussed that you forgot, you know, we should all be prepared to speak up.
Okay, does anyone want to be a vice chair? I know everyone's over a chair.
Bob has worn that
No,
mantle.
I'm vice chair of the Parks Committee.
You know that?
Yeah. Right, you know, Deb is vice chair of my committee, so, see if you can figure out how that happened.
And we're very small, so it does not matter to me. You all could just
I'll be
jump
your
in.
vice chair.
Oh.
You're making this so easy.
That was generous.
That was very generous, thank you. All right, anything else? Thank you. Thanks for making quorum and then everything else. So thank you, Kelly, for joining.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Love your
I'm
perspective.
really
Bob,
glad that I
thank you
got
for
to
holding
see
it
you
down.
in person. I've only seen you on
Camera, yeah, I joined the board during the
Yeah, right.
2020, you were.
2020, that's when I first joined the community board.
What was our year? When did we come up? 506.
It's June of 2006. We joined the same time.
Literally get interviewed back.
We did, that's true. Oliver Copel, yeah, that's right. First meeting was in the Armor Hall at Ways Hill. It was a nice meeting.
I was gonna say, that's a nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Thought it was gonna be like that.
I don't think it was in there since.
Ate too much, apparently.
So you're an attorney?
No, I'm not an attorney. I do